Hello guys and welcome back to the Motor Recon podcast. I'm your host Adam. I'm joined again today by Rob. What we're going to do today is looking at cheap thrills, so specifically hot hatches and what we can get in the UK for under $5,500 is our budget. And looking at sort of maybe some unusual ones and something you can buy really cheap that will actually offer you a good driving experience.
Yeah, our sort of thought process going into this was something like, say for example, this isn't a first car sort of test. We'll say that right out the bat. This isn't something that we're saying you should go out and use as your first car, because getting insured on them for reasonable money is laughable.
Yeah, we're a little bit older now, so the insurance quotes we've got now are pretty reasonable, I'd say. But
however, we're talking at mid-20s sort of guys who are thinking, sod it, I just want a blast and I don't have that much to spend. So all of these have a budget of around £5,000.
Yeah.
And you'll realise that you can get some really decent kit for that kind of cash these days.
Ridiculously good. Right, so first one, bit of an unusual one because they are quite rare. I've probably only ever seen 2 of these on the road.
That gives you a little bit of exclusivity. Genuinely, people do look at them because you never see them. No.
Yeah. So the first one is the Abarth Punto Evo. So as you're all probably well aware, in Europe especially, I don't think they get it in America. But in Europe, the Fiat Punto is basically like a Ford Fiesta type size car.
Good looking car.
Good looking little thing on this particular shape. And then Abarth, which is Fiat's in-house tuning company, like AMG is to Mercedes, have worked their magic on it, and they've made the Abarth Punto Evo. Now, they made these, I think they stopped making them in about 2014, so they are relatively old, which is why the price is cheap. But this particular one, 2010.
Not bad.
So it's 10 years old. However...
You don't look 10 years old.
No, however, it does not look 10 years old. The mileage is at 77,640. For its age, actually, that is above average, apparently, but it's still just over 7,000 a year, so it's hardly what I'd call pressing on the car.
No, and I would say as well, obviously, this is coming at £5,006. This is from a private seller, I believe, so there may be some wiggle room in that.
There'll definitely be some wiggle room, because if he doesn't knock £6 off it to make it a nice round £5,000, this man doesn't want to sell his car.
What I would say as well is the Punto Evo was the spiciest variant of the Abarth Punto that you could get. So this comes with a 1.4 litre 16-valve 4-pot.
Yeah, and 165 brake horsepower.
That's not bad.
Which, again, is not bad for a 1.4 of that era. I know now they pump out a lot more power from smaller engines, but for the age of this car, I think they started making it in probably 2008.
Well, I mean, look, I have a similar sized hatchback that's putting out about 140. Yes, that's coming from like a 1 litre EcoBoost. Nevertheless, I can confirm that that is a very sprightly sort of amount of power.
Yeah, and again, not bad. Top speed of 133 miles an hour, which realistically on normal roads you can't use.
Yeah.
So it's more than enough. And 0 to 60 in 7.9 seconds.
Not bad, is it? No.
Not that bad. Now, the reason I think this car is something worth talking about is just purely on the exclusivity. I've never personally driven one, and I don't think the opportunity will ever come round unless we can pick one up for a few £100 in another couple of years. But I've heard good things compared to the Fiat 500.
Yeah, as you say, of the reviews that I've read about this, because this was actually a car that I was looking into for myself a few years back, and from the reviews that I read about them, they were mainly positive.
Yeah.
They said that it was a good handling, well-sorted little car. And again, if you don't want a Fiesta ST or a Golf or whatever, this is a little bit more of a unique choice.
Yeah, and honestly, it is a very good-looking car. If you aren't watching this on YouTube or whatever, I'd strongly recommend you going to look at this and have a quick look at them, especially if you're from America and you might
you might have never seen
one of these. I would recommend giving them a look. They're very good looking. Little bucket seats as well.
Yeah.
Interior's not that bad.
Yeah, although obviously you got to remember that this is 2010, so it's obviously not going to look like a brand new interior. But nevertheless, I don't think it looks horrifically dated.
No, it's aged pretty well. And I say that the bucket seats do look very comfortable. They look in decent condition in this particular one that we've got up here. And also as well, we've done some little insurance quotes just for us. I say... I'm nearly 27, you're nearly 25, so this is when the insurance in the UK starts to drop off, really, and starts to become quite a lot cheaper. Again, depending on your circumstances, we've both got no points on our licence. We've both got quite a long history of no claims on our insurance. So, Rob, what did the insurance come out for myself on this Abarth Evo?
So the first thing to point out is we put all these through in Compare the Market, which is like
Yes,
a
actually,
comparison site in the UK. We put in the registration for this particular model, and they recommended that the insurance companies valued the car at actually £2,845. So they valued it at nearly half what the asking price is.
Yeah.
I would say that this does seem to be a particularly good example, though.
It does,
So,
and also a fair price as well. Some we're looking at, one of these was £15,000 for sale.
Yeah.
Granted, it had low mileage, but it's not worth 15 grand.
no. So it is worth bearing in mind that off the bat, the insurance companies, or at least Compare the Market, gave it a lower estimate on price. But we got an insurance quote from eSure for £498, and that isn't a black box. So that's
do what you want as well, not to do what you want. But
no, but it's one of those where
Yeah.
you're not having to have someone watching over you.
yeah, I don't think that's too bad.
No, neither do I.
Granted, it's more than what I pay now, but obviously it is a more sporty car. But yeah, £498. So if you've got a budget of around £5,500, and you're roughly in a similar circumstance to us, so mid-20s, decent, no claims and no points on your licence, you can probably get this and the insurance within £5,500 budget.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is too bad.
No, it's not too bad. We had a look at some of the running costs as well. So obviously, one of the main things is miles per gallon. So we went to our usual spot, Honest John's.
Yeah.
And they reckon on average, out of the 20 people who submitted their figures, average was about 35.7 miles to the gallon, with a range between 27 and 42.
Yeah.
To be expected, I feel.
Yeah, I would say that. So yeah, it's not so bad. I don't think 35 for a hot hatch is not too bad, especially for the age. So, another one. This is probably a crowd favourite.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, I suppose the one. This is the Renault Clio 172, not 182. But the Clio from this era is such a small car. 170 horsepower is more than enough.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these things really do fly. And I also think as well, the styling in its own cute kind of way has held up.
It has held up very well.
I think it will go down in history as one of the favourite body variants of the Clio. Obviously made famous by the V6 variant with the big side scoops down there, obviously.
Now this isn't that. And
no,
you 100% cannot get one of those for $5,000.
No, but I think but for the cutie styling and good performance, I think this is a nice compromise.
No, I like it. And the example we've got here is an absolute corker.
Oh, it's a minter.
So it's again, this is from 2003, so this is 17 years old now, so it is knocking on a bit. However, it's £4,999. Again, private seller, so there's probably a little bit of wiggle room there. However, one owner from new.
And I might add as well,
unusual.
This has been loved.
Yes, and I mean loved. He's got in the pictures that he's put with it, he's got every single piece of paperwork from every service. He's even kept old tax discs, which you don't have anymore. And it's also only done from new, 32,000 miles.
And I might add as well, the interior looks like it rolled out of the factory yesterday. Yeah. All the suede on the bucket seats haven't got a single mark on them.
Yeah, the Alcantara in the middle. Well, that's Alcantara as well, and leather, which again look brand new. But it's, according to Auto Trader, this is 84,000 miles below average.
Yeah.
So this car has been absolutely looked after. It looks immaculate.
So obviously it puts out 172 brake horsepower from a 2-litre petrol engine.
Yeah, it is naturally aspirated though, which means you'll get no lag or anything, which in this could be seen as a good thing.
No, you're right, exactly. And as you said, 172 in a car that weighs this little and is this tiny will really take off, as you say. And that shows with the 0 to 60 of 7.2 seconds, which is faster than the Punto Evo, and a top speed of 137 miles an hour, which is also again, better faster than the Punto Evo. Yeah. So if you, and as you said, I don't even think the interior looks overly dated either.
I think on this particular type of car as well, because it had not, at the time they had nothing in them, they didn't have the screens, they didn't have anything like that. I think that's why they've aged a little bit better, because there's nothing in it in that sense.
Yeah, that's true. So we did some insurance quotes on these as well to find out, obviously, what you could get it for. And I think the first thing off the bat to mention is the insurance said they would only pay out roughly £345. That's what they reckoned on the Compare the Market, that's what it's worth. Yeah. Now, obviously, this example is clearly worth more than that, but nevertheless, we just wanted to point that out. So something to consider there.
Yeah, but again, I think, well, you can, on the insurance company, you can put that value to whatever you want.
Yes.
So you could insure the car to a value of £5,000 and they will pay that out, but you would have to pay a premium on that.
Yeah.
We've left it at what they think the car is worth.
Just for the sake of comparison, that's what we've decided to do. And with that original valuation, eSure came in the cheapest with a valuation of £515, which again, it's not horrific.
No. I will say though, the one thing on this which I didn't really understand how they've managed it is if the excess on the insurance, which is something you have to pay if you make a claim, is £500, but the value of their car is £345. So you'd actually end up owing them money.
It's one of those things where I suppose it's the risk, isn't it? In a lot of ways.
I think the reason it is more than what your car value is worth is because if you hit someone else and you have to pay out for their car and your car, that's when obviously the costs are going to start mounting up.
Either way, I think we're both safe to say we really do like this one.
Yeah, it's absolutely immaculate. I don't think I've ever seen a better example of it.
We had a look on Honest John's to see if they had any information on this. Unfortunately, the car's too old, so they don't have any information on this generation of Clio. No. But having a look at some of the factory statistics on this one, so we're just going to look at what they claim for running costs.
Yeah, so you click on it there.
So they reckon a combined fuel economy of 22.1 mpg, and that's from them. So they're claiming that. So it's probably going to, let's be honest here, come in at less than that.
It is, and the actual annual tax, which is unusually high, is £300.
Yeah,
that is unusually high, and it's insurance group 31, which in the UK again is quite high.
But nevertheless, we put the quote through.
Quotes, I think that's because the value of the car is so low. In theory, that they don't actually charge you that much.
And a lot of this comes down to it having a 2-litre naturally aspirated engine. So although it does produce a lot of power with 172, it has a very old school way of getting there.
Yeah.
Which, it's worth considering. But yes, we like the 172.
So far I do love the looks of them.
Yeah.
Next on the list, now this one is the absolute bargain basement one. So this one is not even close to the £5,500 limit we set ourselves. It's actually £550. So it's 10 times under budget.
Yes.
However, it's an MG ZR. Now, for those of you outside the UK, I don't think... Well, they might have done in Europe, but I don't think they sold them anywhere else other than Europe.
You'll realise, though, that these are little hot hatches from MG just before they really went bust, I feel. But these are commonly seen on the UK amateur racing scene.
They are, indeed.
Because they're very cheap and very quick.
Yeah, which is unusual. So again, it's a 1.4 like the Fiat. It is a lot older. This particular one is 2005. But other than some little bits of rust around the front wheel arches, which a local garage nearby will be able to fix that in no time, it actually looks all right. The interior is...
Yeah, the interior
The interior looks like new. I know it's old, it's 2005, but it does look as new.
Yeah, it looks factory new, doesn't it?
Yeah, like the seats are in perfect condition. The leather doesn't even look like it's been used.
The seller is even including badges by the looks of it.
The front and rear badges are a bit worn, but he includes in that 2 brand new badges for you to do that. And also as well, it comes with a full-size spare wheel, all the kit you'd expect. Again, looks in brand new condition.
So we had a look on the insurance for this one again, and it's worth pointing out that we weren't able to get the registration for this one, unfortunately. So we just put in a valuation of £550 for the car.
Yeah.
So that's just what we went with. But either way, insurance company called First Central gave us the cheapest quote on that of £413.
Yeah.
So this is the cheapest insurance quote that we have got all day.
Yeah.
So
I think that does come down to the fact that, again, it is an extraordinarily cheap car.
It's only got a 1.4 as well.
Yeah, most of the parts on it are actually from a Rover 25. I know they don't make them anymore, but parts are reasonably easy to get hold of. It is done 75,000 miles, which is a little bit above average.
Yeah, but again, it's under 100.
Apart from the rust, it's been well looked after.
Yeah, so power is only 101 brake horsepower. True. I think that's the trade-off you're making.
They did do a more powerful 1.8 litre version of this car, which I assume would be more realistic a competition for the others, but this one for so cheap. I thought it would
Yeah,
be worth it.
and nevertheless as well, 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. It's not horrifically slow or anything. And as you say, we included this because these cars are quite popular as track day machines.
Yeah.
Apparently they are quite well sorted.
Yeah, they do handle exceptionally well.
Apparently, exactly. They're not particularly powerful, and also because they are so cheap, it's a case of, well, if you do bin it, I mean...
Yeah, it's 500 quid down the drain and that's it.
Exactly.
And also as well, another thing I will mention, this car, bear in mind, it is obviously 15 years old. It's one owner from new.
Yep.
And it does look like, other than the bit of rust, it has been extremely well looked after.
Now, I knew that the fuel economy on these are actually quite good, deceptively good. So, a combined fuel consumption, according to the manufacturer, of 41.3 mpg, which isn't too shabby at all, considering.
No. Now, again, they didn't have this on Honest John, just purely for the fact it's too old. Well, not too old. There's no one submitted anything for it, really. They didn't sell that many of them before they went bust.
And the annual tax is less than the Clio as well.
It's £200.
Yeah.
And it's insurance group 15, so it's actually half that of what the Clio comes in at.
Yeah. So, again, I think we quite like this one, to be honest, as a bit of a laugh.
And I mean, this is if you are really on an extreme budget.
Yeah.
So less than £1,000 for insurance and car.
Yeah.
This'll do you.
And it is a bit of a hot hatch, so take what you will.
Yeah, or they get rave reviews. I don't know why they didn't sell so well.
Our next choice is, I'd say that this is the most grown-up hot hatch we've got in the list.
This or the next one, yeah.
Yeah, this does have Quattro as well, so this is the only one with four-wheel drive that we have in here as well. So we are talking about the Audi S3 from 2002. Obviously, this is a three-door variant with a 1.8 litre four-cylinder engine. Yeah. As I mentioned, it's got four-wheel drive as well, so that makes it quite unique.
And 225 brake horsepower.
So yeah, it's a very powerful car.
Yeah, but with this being the S3, they are well renowned for being a powerful hot hatchback. Not being renowned for the best handling of cars, however, this generation in particular, because they're quite light compared to the new ones, they do get some better reviews.
Like I say, I imagine the four-wheel drive system, although quite old school, in as far as practicality is concerned, so say in snow or bad weather, you'll fare better in this than a lot of other cars.
Yeah, and with it being a manual as well, you can drive them in the snow quite a lot better than the autos can.
So this one seems to be in relatively good condition as well. All the leather on the seats, despite the age, seems to be holding together. A bit of creases, but I would call that patterning.
Yeah, this is actually 2002.
Yeah, exactly.
It's 18 years old.
You've got to take that into consideration. It even has certain options on it that I don't have on a car. There is a 66 plate, such as automatic headlamps. Yeah. So I don't want to be too harsh.
No, the interior is straight out of a Golf from that era, but that's not a bad thing.
No.
Manual gearbox, 6-speed. Like I say, it's even got the lovely little chrome wing mirrors which they had on the cars of that era, which I do quite like. And this one comes in at £4,250, so it's actually way under the budget.
Yeah.
And again, mileage-wise, it's done 82,000 miles, which for an 18-year-old car is not that bad. And it says it's 61,000 miles below average.
So here's the interesting thing. On the insurance payout, so how much they believe the car was worth, it's set it automatically at £795. So again, like most of these other ones, it came in well under what they believe, or what they're asking for. But you can see that this is quite a nice example. And the insurance quote, the cheapest one that we got, was from AXA, and it was £536. So this is the most expensive to insure.
Yeah, but you'd expect it is a lot more powerful than even the nearest comparison.
Yeah.
And also, again, it's probably seen as a bit of a boy racer car.
Interestingly, though, compared to the Clio has a higher capacity. It produces a lot less power, but this seems to be more fuel efficient, actually, by a fair way. So, obviously, Honest John doesn't have any figures on this because it's a little too old, but they're claiming a combined fuel consumption from factory of 30.4 mpg, which is a bit better than the Clio.
So I'd say you could probably expect 25-ish.
Yeah.
If you were around that.
Trouble with the Clio was they were saying from factory it was like low 20s, so heaven forbid what you'll actually get in the real world.
Yeah, that's what it means. It depends how you drive it.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
I think as well, the annual tax on this, which is something we have to pay in the UK, is £325.
So this was the most...
This is the most expensive tax, but again, most powerful car, older as well, which means the emissions and things like that are quite high.
But this did come in under our £5,000 budget by quite a significant amount, so you could fold that into the cost and you would come out at roughly even, Stevens. This is for someone who cares about badge as well, I feel.
Yeah, because Audi, while they do make some awful cars, do have a decent badge perception about them.
And also, you can say that you drive a Quattro, which is pretty cool.
Actually, the Audis of this era were actually renowned for being a lot better than they are now. Like, the build quality on them was solid, which is probably why this has fared up so well. And they were infamously reliable.
And I've also seen people do work on this particular generation of A3, and before you know where you're at, they look really good. Yeah. And as I said, 225 brake horsepower, easy enough for anyone.
Oh, yeah, but it's a quick car. So
very quick. So, yeah.
Let's have a look. So, performance, it claims here 151 miles an hour.
Yeah.
More than enough. 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds. So, it's not radically quicker than some of the other cars, but again, it's a much heavier, bigger car.
But you could certainly have a blast in this if you took it to an autobahn.
Yeah.
Drove it over to Germany.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really like this one, actually.
I do. It'd be tempting. It'd be tempting. Right, okay. The final one is probably the most infamous, and also I think this is sold globally, and this is the Volkswagen Golf GTI.
The
father of the
exactly,
hot hatch, yeah. This one does come in slightly under budget again at £4,989 for a 2005 variant of the car, which is not that bad. It's a fair price. It's not a great price according to this.
Yeah, okay.
Fair. But the mileage is where this one comes in. So it's done 67,000 miles, which is nothing for the age of the car, and it claims it's 47,000 miles below average.
There you go then.
So that's, again, probably what you're paying a bit of the price for. But a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, again, manual, and only the 3-door variant, this one.
Yeah, but I think I would prefer that.
Yeah, but again, not bad on power. So this, while the S3 and the Golf are technically the same car, this one is slightly less powerful at 198 brake horsepower.
And that's only going through the front wheels as well.
It is only going through the front wheels. Again, 7.2 seconds to 60, so it's roughly matching what the Clio and a few of the other cars are doing. And a top speed of 146.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that 198 horsepower, again, is enough. When you compare that to, say, a brand new hot hatch of today, you're looking at roughly a Fiesta ST kind of performance there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Fiesta ST these days has a much smaller engine, but that's just how times move on.
Yeah, and the Golf's still 2 litre, isn't it? So looking at some of the running costs of this, again, £300 a year annual tax, so it matches the Clio.
Yeah.
I think that's just cars of this age, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's a fuel consumption combined of 35.3 from the manufacturer. However, we could get stats on this one from Honest John, and they're reckoning a real world average of 31.
Not bad. I feel you wouldn't be disheartened at that because
no, that claims it's 88% of the official MPG claims.
You're only about 4 off. So
yeah, I don't think that's too bad if I'm honest at all.
Now, interestingly, when we went for the insurance on this one, the insurer obviously Compare the Market said that they estimated the value at $2,145. So one of the higher prices that we've actually been given.
I think that again comes down to badge. A Golf GTI is what would be considered a slightly sought after.
Yeah, I agree. So as far as hot hatch world is concerned, it's considered to be like the holy grail of they are always the standard bearer for each of their generations. So yeah, they gave it that sort of valuation, and the cheapest insurance we got were from eSure again for £493. So again, a pretty good quote. I think it's actually the cheapest. Well, it's the second cheapest quote we've been given all day.
Yeah, so. Which again isn't so bad. So if you have a £5,500 budget, you can get a Golf GTI and insure it if you are in similar circumstances to ourselves, and you could get that all for £5,500.
Yeah,
well under budget. I think that is an absolutely fantastic deal, and I think when you start looking at stuff like this, and then you think, why do we buy more expensive cars that obviously they are newer? But stuff like this, that the Golf is renowned for being quite reliable.
Yeah.
And it's only done 67,000 miles, which for a 2005 car is not that bad.
So realistically then, I think it's probably time to summarise.
Yeah.
So where you stand?
Well, out of the ones we've discussed, if it was my money and I'm putting it in one of these cars, I think I'd have to go for the Clio myself.
Yeah.
On the basis that it's in absolutely immaculate condition. So if you kept that mileage down,
that particular car, I agree, is a good buy.
Yeah, if you could keep the mileage down. So say you only used it as a second car and did 5,000-6,000 miles a year on it, I think you'd get most of that value back.
Yeah, I would say for me, If I was doing low mileage, the Clio, I agree. If I wasn't driving it particularly far, the trouble is obviously if you're using it as a daily, it is probably, I think it is the thirstiest out of all of them.
It is, and it's also probably the least refined.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where that comes in. If I'm using it as a daily, I'd probably go for the Punto Evo because it's a little bit different. It's a bit
lot newer.
It's a lot newer than the rest of these cars we were talking about as well. It's a 2010 plate, so it doesn't feel as dated.
No, even though that is scary, that is already 10 years old.
It is, but no, comparatively, it's younger, and I also think as well it is unusual.
Yeah, you do not see many of them. I've only probably seen 2 or 3 that I can recall.
And if you're talking brand, Abarth isn't exactly a brand that petrol heads look down their noses at. It is a reputable sort of
good in-house, for a bit of fun.
In-house tuner, isn't it?
For a bit of fun. They've done some ridiculous things over the years.
Yeah, like that car they made where the boot, well, as you say, wasn't the bonnet permanently open?
It was
out
the Fiat
back.
600, wasn't it? Yeah, the boot, because it found it went actually faster top speed with the boot open, they just pinned the boot open.
And obviously that was the engine was in the rear, so yeah.
Good cooling though.
Yeah.
Good place to summarise it up. So for myself, I would actually go for the Clio, and for you yourself, you would actually go for the Abarth Punto Evo. A good actual market to look into, and a very, very tempting thing for us, especially when we're looking to get our next cars. But I think that's absolutely a fantastic deal. Again, we will see you next week. However, if you do want us to discuss any of your topics, let us know in the comments or give us a shout on any of the social media links below, and we will cover those for you. But if not, again, we will see you next week.
See ya.
See you later.